Welcome back to the Duo Dialogues. Today we are diving deep into a crucial skill for anyone tackling the IELTS reading test: mastering how to read efficiently.
Sounds like a plan.
You shared some info about reading strategies, specifically focusing on skimming and scanning.
Right.
It sounds like you were looking for ways to save time and pinpoint answers quickly in what can often feel like a super time-pressured situation.
Mm-hmm.
So let's unpack these techniques and see how they can really work for you.
Okay.
We'll also touch on the structure of the IELTS reading test itself to set the stage for all of this.
Great idea.
So first, can you give us just a brief overview of what the IELTS reading test looks like?
Sure. So the IELTS reading section gives you 60 minutes to tackle 3 long texts.
60 minutes.
Yeah, it's a lot to get through. And these texts come from academic sources like books, newspapers, magazines, that kind of thing.
Oh,
And during that time, you have to answer 40 questions.
40 questions on top of all that reading.
Yeah,
So effective reading strategies are really essential to make the most of that time.
I can imagine. So what are some of the strategies?
Well, let's start with skimming. You can think of skimming as like getting the essence of a text quickly.
Okay.
You are not reading every single word, but rather focusing on key elements like titles, headings, subheadings.
Right.
And importantly, the first and last sentences of each paragraph. This gives you a general overview of the main ideas in a passage.
I see. So it's kind of like reading the intro and conclusion of an essay, but you're doing it for each paragraph as well.
Exactly.
So when would this be most helpful?
Well, skimming is incredibly useful for question types that require an understanding of the overall structure or main themes, such as matching headings to paragraphs.
Okay.
Or like completing a summary of a section. It helps you navigate the text and understand the author's main points before you get bogged down in the specifics.
Gotcha. So you get the roadmap before you zoom in.
Yes, precisely.
Makes sense. And then we have scanning. How does that work? So scanning is more of your targeted search strategy. You are on the lookout for specific pieces of information, keywords, names, dates, numbers, anything that directly relates to the questions. Your eyes are moving rapidly across the text, not trying to understand everything,
Oh, okay.
but just pinpointing the specific details that you need.
So if a question asks about like a particular year or a very specific term, I would just scan the passage for those visual cues.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have got the test format and these 2 core techniques, skimming and scanning. What's the most effective way to use them together during the test?
The most important step, and many test takers overlook this, is to read the questions before you read the passage.
Oh, interesting.
This immediately focuses your mind and tells you what kind of information you need to look for.
Okay, so it's like having your search terms ready before you even start reading.
Exactly. You know what you are hunting for. Then you use skimming to get that overall understanding of the passage's main points.
Gotcha.
Like, what's the central argument? What are the key topics covered? And then, after that initial skim, you go back to the questions, and you use scanning to locate the specific keywords related to each question within the text.
Now, here's a potential trap. What if the exact words from the question are not in the passage?
Yes, that's a great point.
It seems like they often rephrase things to make it trickier.
They do. You need to be super aware of synonyms and paraphrasing.
Right.
The test writers frequently use different words or phrases to express the same ideas. So instead of looking for an exact word match, think about related terms and concepts. For example, if the question mentions negative impacts, the passage might talk about detrimental effects.
Oh, I see. So recognizing those connections is crucial.
Absolutely.
Could you give us a quick example from the material that you shared?
Sure. So one passage stated that the Amazon rainforest, covering over 5.5 million square kilometers, is home to millions of species and produces 20% of the world's oxygen.
Okay.
And the question asked, how much of the world's oxygen does the Amazon rainforest produce? Now, if you scan the passage for numbers and the word oxygen, it immediately leads you to 20%.
And that's it.
Yep, that's scanning in action.
So simple when you know what to look for. What are some common mistakes that people tend to make when they are trying to use these techniques?
One major mistake is still trying to read every single word carefully during that initial skim. Remember, skimming is about speed. It's about getting the general idea. Another pitfall is not underlining or highlighting keywords in the questions or the passage to help with the targeted scanning.
Okay, so really mark up that text as much as you need to.
Exactly. And as we've talked about, failing to recognize synonyms and paraphrasing will lead to missed answers, even when the information is right there in front of you.
So to recap, master the IELTS reading format, Read the questions first, then strategically use skimming for the main ideas and scanning for specifics.
Exactly.
And always, always be ready for synonyms and paraphrasing.
Yes. They are your clues, not your obstacles.
I like that.
These techniques are not just about reading faster. It's about reading smarter and more strategically. You want to be able to locate the information you need efficiently.
We hope this deep dive into skimming and scanning equips you with a more effective approach for the IELTS reading test.
Good luck.
Thank you for joining us on the Duo Dialogues, and stay tuned for more episodes.
Bye.